this computer. There we go. All right. Now we're recording. All right. Here we go. In three, two, one. Welcome back to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. So glad to have you along wherever you get your podcast as we launch week number 3 of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. We're getting into, the middle-ish stages of the high school football season already. It's kind of hard to believe. Getting ready for week 3 of the year, 2 weeks under our belts. So, as usual, glad to have you along wherever you're tuned in. Isaiah Vreeman, Brad Lowers is back with us as Brad made the trip up to Nome, and he's back. You're back, Brad. Brad, glad to have you back.
Good to be back. Nome was fun, but we like Anchorage. We're going to Texas next week, so traveling the world.
Yeah, you are. I would say so.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to, do a special podcast from Texas, I think.
Well, I won't have my coat on. I know that.
Well, that's
No,
good.
Probably not.
Probably won't. Not. Yeah, I mean, it could be probably in the 90s, So, yeah. You're going to Texas at the right time of the year. I mean, high school football season, college football is going to start, but they won't be, the University of Texas, they're playing Ohio State in Columbus, I think.
So, well, Texas State, they got a game at Bobcat Stadium. Looking forward to that. I know in high school, the one high school I'm aware of, they're having a scrimmage. So we know Alaska has one of the earliest starts in the nation, but Texas, not so early, but they go a lot longer.
Yeah, that is true. They certainly do play a little bit longer into the season. I want to say like their state championships happen like after Thanksgiving or something like that.
It's a December deal.
Yeah. I wish we could do that. I mean, we could. Kind of nice,
I think
whether it be, Alaska football after Thanksgiving, nothing says that, football weather like 10 degrees and, potential of a foot of snow on the ground.
How about
my guess is
the stream will be very popular.
Very popular. I think the numbers of football participation would go down just a little bit.
Ooh. We should start a poll. We should do a poll. Can we do that on our website, alaskasportstalk.com?
Yeah, we can do polls on there. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
We should put up a poll. I don't know if we can make this happen within the next couple of days or something. Like, would you be more inclined or less inclined to play high school football if the season went from, let's say, beginning of September past Thanksgiving?
Whew.
I mean, so you start after Labor Day, right? Play through September, go through October, and then I don't know. Let's maybe not say past Thanksgiving. Maybe mid-November. We'll say mid-November.
Keaton, I'll say one thing. I've been to at least 3 tackle games, and for the most part, they were before school started, and they're pretty well attended. It's and we've had pretty good weather this time of year. October is often a good month. So, on the other hand, soccer in the spring, they'll play a lot of their games in the dome before they move outside.
True. Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. If it was me personally, I'd still play. Like, I mean, that's just me. But I mean, obviously, at that point, you're competing with plenty of other sports that are starting up at that time. You're wrestling season's well underway and that kind of thing. And but I think it'd be interesting. It'd be kind of fun.
Interesting. I think you might.
We've had snow for plenty of games up here in September. I mean, come on.
No doubt. Absolutely.
And then even October. So we know what that's like.
They play professional football December, January, and, Chicago and Green Bay. A lot of times teams don't want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But those guys are getting paid millions of dollars. And these are high school athletes that could be getting paid millions of dollars. I don't know.
Yeah, they got to wait. They got to wait till they get to college to get that.
Well, some of them I don't think are waiting. I think some of them are getting paid now. But
I think some of those kids are getting a little something now.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if you're, signing with any Power 5 program, it seems like you're getting something, I think. I don't know.
Well, like what happened in the Section 7-8 meeting last year in the fall, the guys were from California were telling us that there was a kid who finished the football season. He ended up having $800,000 deposited in his bank account
That's
as soon
wild.
as the football season was over.
That's wild.
I mean, he's
Man.
a senior walking around. He's almost a millionaire.
Yeah.
That's Isaiah kind of money.
Yeah, right. I wish. I
we all
wish
would.
that'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
I feel like we could do a whole podcast on like NIL and high school, signings and things of that nature. That's a whole nother realm. But I think we'll stick to Alaska high school football and flag football. We'll talk a little bit of volleyball as well. UAA volleyball also getting underway this week as well, getting their regular season up and going, starting this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we'll touch on that here on this episode of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. But talked about week number 3 of the high school football season coming up. We'll recap week number 2 here for you. We'll start things off in Division 1, give you some scores from D1 football this past week. The Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears, they were able to bounce back after they lost in week 1 to Service, bounce back with a victory over the Betty Davis East Anchorage Thunderbirds 41-22. So Juneau now 1-1 on the season. Bartlett, who started the season off with a victory against Diamond, they fell in a close one to South. I think that game actually went to overtime.
Yeah, 14-7 in overtime. The funny thing about that was the West Diamond game didn't finish till about 45 minutes. Those games start at the same time. They play overtime at South, and yet the West Diamond game lasted much longer.
Yeah, the West Diamond game didn't go to OT, but you're right. It did last a little bit longer as West fended off the Diamond Lynx 13-9 and able to hang on to improve to 2-0. Diamond, the defending state champs from a year ago, they fall to 0-2 to start the year. And then Service, maybe a little bit of surprise for some people, starting the season off 2-0. They pick up a victory over the Colony Knights, who won in week number 1, but Service able to get the offense going. They kind of cruised to a 27-13 victory over the Colony Knights. Once again, Service, the air attack, they have it going through the air yet again this season. So it was a game. It seemed like a lot of offense up and down the field out in the valley, and Service able to pull it out and win 27-13. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought maybe Service 2-0 start to the year, but here they are and looking pretty solid, Brad.
Yeah, they're a team that's been hard to catch up with, having been in Colony. But the other thing is the Colony game, that's a non-conference game. So while they're undefeated, they're 1-0. And West, although, I've seen them twice, I would say they haven't played their best football, but they're sitting there at 2-0 and off to the best start.
Well, you mentioned it's a non-conference game. It's actually a conference game now. I mean, Colony, part of the CIC. They're the lone representative out of the CIC. So now Service 2-0 in conference play. Colony 1-1 in conference play and 1-1 overall. But head coach Khalil Bowling has his team rolling. Rock Phelps, he threw for nearly 300 yards in that game against the Colony Knights. He put up 299 in that game, did Rock Phelps. So throwing the ball all over the yard. Torian Phillip had 5 catches for 108 yards in that game. They outgained Colony, the Service Cougars, 442 total yards to 252. So Service got the offense going, to say the least.
Keaton, that's bad stat keeping. If you got 299, just round up on that one. Give them the 300 yards.
I'll credit the stats to Alaska Sports Report. So those guys, they're on it. They are on it to the nth degree. Matt Nevela, when he's at the games, keeping the stats, he's not fudging anything. He's dead on.
If I knew it was Matt, I never would have said it.
I don't know if it was Matt or not. It could have been. But the fine folks at the Alaska Sports Report providing us with those stats from this past week's games. And as I mentioned, Service moving to 2-0. Bartlett with their victory week 1, but losing week 2. They are now 1-1. West is also now 2-0 as well. Colony falling to 1-1. Diamond now 0-2. East 0-2. Juneau 1-1, and the South Wolverines now 1-1. Brad, I know we're only 3 weeks in, but is there anything that has stood out to you? Obviously, we still have, 6 more weeks to go here as we get ready for week 3 of the season. What has kind of stood out, if anything, to you so far?
Well, I think it just looks very even, and I think a lot of teams are slow starting. Even a West, who has moved the ball up and down the field, they haven't put a lot of points up. So it's been more low scoring games than high scoring games. And I think the offenses will start to assert themselves. And really, there's a lot of one-on-one teams, and I think they should be encouraged because sometimes you get off that slow start, and you never get back into it. But I think there's going to be, it's going to be competitive in the middle of the season and probably right down to the end.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, we know that Alaska football is a short season, but there's still, a lot of terms or a lot of time for wiggle room here in the next 6 weeks of the year. Isaiah, you've been keeping an ear to football. Anything sticking out to you at all? Surprised? Not really surprised? Same old, same old?
I think to echo Brad's point, it's the parity. It's no one is standing out among anybody quite yet at the Division I level. That to me, that's what I see the most. Is it seems pretty even across the board, and if you don't come ready to play on Friday night or Saturday, you're going to lose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I can. I think everybody agrees here. At least 2 weeks in, 2 games under the belt, with a lot of close scores. On any given Friday or Saturday night, you could be predicted or thought to win. You could be undefeated, and then the next thing you know, you're on the back end of a loss there. So
I
we'll
think
just have to see what happens.
with Juneau, I mean, they're kind of a hard team to judge. You don't get to see them that often. They just combined with Thunder Mountain a few years back, so they've kind of beefed up that way. And that's the only true road game.
True.
Within
Yeah.
that division, it's a bit of work to go down to Juneau, and I don't think you have to elaborate on that. But it's a tough job to win down there. And if Juneau, when they were good a few years back, they could come up to Anchorage and steal a game or two, and then they're in pretty good position.
Yeah, they are. So we'll see how they can roll through their season as well. After they picked up their week 2 victory for the Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears over the Betty Davis East Anchorage Thunderbirds last Saturday. Look ahead to this weekend's games, Friday and Saturday. A whole bunch of non-conference games as the D1, D2 teams get paired up here in week number 3. Kick things off with West Valley and West. That game taking place, I believe, it looks like at West Anchorage, I believe, if this is reading correctly. North Pole in service, and then Betty Davis East Anchorage Thunderbirds, they're taking on a team out of South Dakota, Southwest South Dakota. And then Diamond and Soldotna will tangle. Is that game in Anchorage or is that down in Soldotna, Brad? Do you know?
It's a diamond, and kind of the game that grabs me out of all of them. And, I think Diamond, they're going to really look to improve, whether it's a conference game or not. But so high is a tough get. And, Keaton, the things that they do. And I think even translated to flag football, the teams that are really good, and that's the teams that carry out their fakes. And no one's any better than Soldotna. They got a guy running hard up the middle, guy going hard around the end. The quarterback's faking a bootleg, and every time you think it's one, it's the other. And so, they lock them in the weight room. They're strong, even though they might not be the biggest team, and they just have that momentum going on. And they seem like a team in the not too distant future should be, moving up a league.
There's always been that talk. Soldotna, they're so good at the division or the, medium school level for years and years. Oh, they should bump up. They should bump up. But I don't know. That's a talk for another time, in my opinion. I have a whole whole
That's a
thing on that.
whole nother
And
discussion.
you'll probably be surprised how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I think I'm on the other boat of this, but that's another time. Another time. Anyway, the only conference game that is going on is Wasilla and Colony. That game taking place out at Colony High School, and then Lathrop versus South on Saturday night. That game slated to start at 1 p.m. and also scheduled to be at South Anchorage High School as well. So a whole bunch of non-conference games coming up across the Division One and Division Two spectrum. Give you some of the scores from this past week in Division Two football. Chugiak and Soldotna, I mentioned the Stars and their powerful offense. Well, they put up a whole bunch of points yet again against the Chugiak Mustangs in week number 2. I think they lit up the board for 77 in week number 1 against Palmer. They put up a 64 spot against the Chugiak Mustangs, 64-7. And then Palmer, who lost in week 1 to Sohai, they have a pretty potent offense, it seems like. They put up 41 against Soldotna, and now they put up 48 in a victory against North Pole as they won 48-7 over the Patriots. So Palmer improving to 1-1, while North Pole falls to 1-1. Lathrop took on Eagle River, and the Lathrop Malamutes with a 30-12 victory over the Eagle River Wolves. Wasilla and West Valley. West Valley, the Wolfpack, able to take down Wasilla 27-13. So Wasilla falling to 0-2. West Valley on the season improving to 1-1 after they lost week 1 to Eagle River. So in terms of Division 2 guys, obviously Soldotna is setting itself probably apart from everybody yet again, but the Palmer Moose, even though they gave up a lot of points in that week 1 loss to Soldotna, they can put up some points of their own, it seems like. Put up 41 and 48 in back-to-back weeks.
Keaton, to steal a phrase from our friend Isaiah, don't go to sleep on the Palmer Moose. So, there's going to be a few teams that come up short against Soldotna, but like you said, Keaton, they're scoring a lot of points, and I don't think that last year was one of their best years, but they look like they're on the upward climb.
Yeah, I mean they have a quarterback who is a terrific passer, and their offense is not what you would think of in terms of the traditional, Palmer Moose I formation. When I think of Palmer, I think of Rod Christensen, right? I formation, we're going to run downhill. We got a fullback that'll beat you up kind of deal. And now it's a little bit more spread out. And they have some athletes, and they look pretty solid through the first couple of weeks of the season, and picking up that victory over North Pole, 48-7. So looking pretty good. Again, Palmer is going to be playing a non-conference game against Juneau this coming week on Saturday at 7 o'clock. It says it's scheduled at Palmer, but I think that game is at Juneau, if memory serves correct, but have to double check me on that. The Chugiak Mustangs off to an 0-2 start. They're traveling out of state. They will travel down to California to take on a team out of the Oakland Bay area, Encinal. The Encinal Jets opening up their season against the Chugiak Mustangs on Thursday. That game kicks off early this week. Mustangs leaving on Wednesday morning to take on the Jets on Thursday night. That game at 6 p.m. Alaska time. So a lot of non-conference games, a couple of non-conference games out of state even. So it'll be an interesting week 3.
That's kind of a good travel schedule because you play the game a little early, and instead of doing all the other things you might do on a trip and then trying to play a game, you play the game, and then you got a few choices: Candlestick Park, Alcatraz. I don't know exactly where they're going to be, but a lot of people are leaving California, but it's nice to visit. Still nice to
I agree. It's nice to visit. Yes. Very nice to visit. To live, perhaps not, depending
not
on
so
where.
Much.
Depends
not
on where.
So much.
No, but Brad, you're right. I have a little bit of insight with that Chugiak team, and playing on Thursday. I know they got things scheduled to go check out a couple of universities on Friday and Saturday. They also had an opportunity, I think, to go to a Giants game potentially. I think they're going to hit up Six Flags, so they're going to have not just a football game, but also an experience that a lot of Alaska athletes may not get during their high school football careers. So
Keaton,
get a chance to do that.
Good to throw in a museum in there. That always looks good.
You got to make it educational. I mean, this is a student athlete, right? I mean,
student comes first.
Student comes first, right? So, I mean, you're totally right. They are going to universities. I mean, going to go check out college football games. I mean, that's learning, right?
It's definitely learning.
Definitely learning. So, anyway, that kind of gets you caught up on Division I, Division II scores from around the state through the first couple of weeks, and also matchups coming up here in week number 3 as well. Again, a lot of non-conference matchups. The only conference matchup that is taking place, Wasilla and, or actually, sorry, not even a conference matchup. Wasilla and Colony is not a conference matchup anymore. I got confused. It's the old rail belt in me, thinking Wasilla and Colony in the same conference still. It's not. That's a non-conference matchup itself. So, Eagle River, by the way, they are taking on Barrow, up in Barrow. So that'll be a long travel journey. That's got to be the longest journey for any team that travels to Barrow, I think. I mean, unless you're from Fairbanks, I guess that's a little bit of a shorter trek than a team from the southeast or
Juneau could set a record if they went up there.
Yeah, right. That would be. I don't know if Juneau's ever made it up there.
Well, the key thing I think, Keaton, is you can get there on a large plane. So
that's good. Yes.
Large planes are nice.
Yeah. Bigger, yeah. Let's take more people. That's good. I like that plan. All right, so that gets you kind of caught up on a little bit of tackle football. Should we take a look at the flag stuff? Should we look at flag? I think so.
Let's look at flag.
Flag football well underway. I think they've played, probably 5 or 6 games of the season already. Brad, somewhere in that neighborhood?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if people always realize that, but you can play 2 or 3 flag games in a week. And,
right.
With the tackle football, you're not going to play more than 1 in a week. So teams already have as many as 3 games under their belt.
Yeah, season got started, back on the 14th. And as you mentioned, Brad, some of these teams have already played like 2 games in, back-to-back days, or they've played 3 games in 4 days or something of that kind of nature. As we take a look at some of the scores from this past week. And last week, we take a look at, let's see, the 22nd, West Valley, Wasilla winning 52-0. Lathrop over Reddington 36-6. Colony taking down Chugiak 14-6. West Valley winning over Reddington 13-0. Wasilla then bouncing back with a win over the defending state champions, the North Pole Patriots, as Wasilla won 8-0 in that game back on Saturday night. And then Colony in service in a close one, 14-13. South with a huge victory over Bartlett, 47-0. Diamond, they picked up a victory over West a week ago, 14-6. North Pole had a huge 75-0 victory over Reddington. But Brad, I know you're really in touch with the flag football scene and things like that. What do we know about some of these schools so far early on in the flag football scene?
Well, Sean Jones had a great article on North Pole. And when you're the defending state champs and you're kind of hidden away in the north, you don't see them quite so often, although they're coming down a little more often this year. But they've got the Skip sisters, and they have a system that's much different. There's, how it is, Keaton, when you're the only football team running one particular season and teams really have to prepare for you. That's kind of the way North Pole lines up. So expect a lot out of them. The West Diamond game was pretty key game. You look at Antonio Weiss, and he's coached basketball for so many years, but he's got his daughter playing. He's one of the best players in the league. And then, you might not think it, but he's been at it a long time. I think he helped Travis Cantrell back in the day, and then he must have 6 or 7 years. And I think that's a a big deal because, you know, a lot of times coaches in flag football don't necessarily stay with it year after year. Diamond has a new coach, and that Diamond team has as much speed as I've seen in a long time, even for Diamond teams. Track athletes and just, you know, I think they're going to do well. That, you know, that 14-6 game, they probably could have done even better than that. But again, Antonio, he figures out a way to keep his team in the game. He's got that strategy. I don't know if it's analytics, but he does not believe in the punt. And 4th and 18, 4th and 23. If you're on the other side, it's kind of annoying how often he has his teams convert in that type of situation. And then, you know, Service had a strong finish last year. But you know, yet to show what they're going to do this year. South went to the Nike tournament or the Nike game last year and won that. So, you know, I think it will take a few more games before that really starts to shake out. I guess the other thing, Keaton, would be a team like Wasilla in the Valley. You know, they show big jumps, and I think they're in their 3rd year. And I think, you know, there's not much instinct when you're playing in the very first year. That starts to roll in the 2nd year. And I think, you know, Wasilla's been the team out of the Valley that is really showing themselves.
Yeah, I think Wasilla's up there, and I think even Colony as well. I mean, in the first couple of games, they put up some big numbers. I know they lost to Service by a point, 14-13 this past weekend, but I'm trying to think of the freshman. They have a freshman out of Colony. I think her name is Bree Parent, and like in her first game, she put up 7 touchdowns. She had like 4 rushing, 3 passing in that game, and so for a freshman in her first game, it was rather impressive. So between Wasilla and Colony, I definitely in the Valley, those seem like the 2 teams to really watch out for in terms of flag football. So I think there's only one game on tap tonight for flag football. Lathrop West Valley is the one that appears to be on the schedule. 6 p.m. between Lathrop and West Valley. So that game obviously is wrapped up by the time of this recording and being airing of this podcast. But
Keaton,
more games coming up.
I think another interesting thing with the Valley schools is that first year, a couple of years ago, they were kind of combo teams like you would see in hockey. And, you know, Houston would play with Palmer. I don't know what the exact matchups were, but they'd have 2 or 3 teams that combined.
Yeah.
And then last year they were split up. So, I mean, I think it's just a growing thing. I think the Peninsula would like to get in, and it's growing across the country, and it's pretty entertaining.
I think somebody told me, and I've heard it multiple times, that flag football, fastest growing sport in terms of getting it added to not just like the high school level, but also potential like colleges are adding it now.
Yeah, it's going to be in the Olympics.
Yeah, it's going to be in the Olympics. You're exactly right.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a big sport that's growing, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future the NCAA ends up sanctioning it. I mean, it's kind of the direction it's moving.
Yeah,
I can't imagine they wouldn't. Well, now who knows? I don't know what they'll do. I don't know what the NCAA will do. Who knows? That's a bad. I take that back. I don't know. That's a silly statement, Isaiah.
Silly. We don't know what the NCAA is going to do. No,
that is cookie talk, as Kramer would say.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA suspends people that aren't even in the NCAA anymore. Jim Harbaugh. I mean, like, what
are
is
we
that?
talking about?
What kind of penalty is that? Like,
I retract
you're suspended.
my previous
You
statement.
don't work for us anymore, or part of our association, but you're suspended. Oh my goodness! But
oh, bummer.
Yeah, well, Chargers are still going to pay me.
That's exactly right.
He's going to get paid.
Yeah. So anyway, that kind of gets you caught up on tackle football and also a little bit of flag football. If you surf on over to ASAA365.com, you can get caught up on all the rest of the scores and check out the standings as well. Might be a little bit of a slow uptake on 365. A couple of games were out of place and out of wonk there. The standings, I think, are for a couple of teams a game off. So just double check that, and it'll get updated. I'm sure at some point in time it'll get caught up. So you can also go to the Alaska Sports Report as well. You can get in-depth articles from our friends over there at Alaska Sports Report, Van Williams, Matt Nevela, and a host of others doing a terrific job doing some write-ups on local stories across the sports scene here in Alaska. Transition here a little bit. Go ahead.
Stephanie's hustling around. She's the main photographer for Alaska Sports Report. And there must be 2 or 3 of her because, you see her at almost every event.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good.
It's funny to hear her schedule sometimes of she was at, one event and 30 minutes later rushed over to another one. And I'm like, I don't know how in the world you do it. Like, props to her because she is legitimately, as soon as the game ends, more likely than not, she's going to another one. And it's just like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And then throw in UAA, the UAA season coming up.
Right.
She'll be at the UAA, the Alaska Airlines Center for volleyball and men's and women's basketball season coming up. And speaking of volleyball, we'll stick with the high school volleyball scene first here as it is also underway as well. And I know that Chugiak just hosted a big invitational this past weekend with a whole host of teams coming down to take part in that invitational at Chugiak High School. I think teams like West Valley, Eagle River, Colony, I want to say Bartlett South, Eagle River Christian Academy was maybe part of it as well. So a whole host of teams taking part in that tournament. Brad, and I know that there's some other stuff going on. Teams are traveling out of state for volleyball even.
Yeah, and just to mention now, from my information, Eagle River won that tournament, although maybe, I guess they were bracketed at the end. And Eagle River, they improved last year, and it looks like they're continuing to improve their program. South Volleyball was out last week. They were in Las Vegas, got some good reports. Always good when a local team shows up for Alaska and does well. And then Service out on a tournament. I'm not sure exactly where they were. Diamond leaves for Texas in a day or so. They'll play a tournament. It's near Round Rock, Texas. It's kind of a suburb, maybe north of Austin. And I think one of the teams they play in pool play is like 11th ranked in the state of Texas. So I think, Texas is one of those states that has good volleyball. And, I know Coach Lowers was looking at the roster. It's like 6', 6'2", 6'3", 6'1". I mean,
it's going to be a big front line there.
College right there.
Yeah, that's huge. That's big. That's almost, exactly right. College. That's a college-sized volleyball team right there at a high school level. That's no doubt.
And we see a lot of tournaments coming up, the West Spectacular, and chance to see a lot of the teams play in one venue.
Yeah, the tournaments this time of year, they're always terrific because you do get to see a lot of teams in one area, and it's kind of a chance for you to capture everything in, one centralized, go and just to see where everybody's kind of at. You mentioned Eagle River. You're totally right in terms of them winning that tournament. I mean, they beat Bartlett, Colony, Chugiak, and Wasilla in that tournament, along with, I believe, hold on, looking at it, beat West also. And remember, they're also these tournaments, I think they get skewed a little bit, right, Isaiah? Refresh me on this, just because they're not playing full sets, or not full sets, but full matches, right?
Yeah, it gets skewed where if you go to like the West Spectacular or the Diamond Service tournament later on, they're playing these mini games. So some of these tournaments will set up, it's the best of 2.
Right.
Or it's everyone's playing a 1 set to 30 and stuff like that. So all that stuff is recorded. All of that is important for seeding later on down the line. So that's why it's there.
Yeah, I think another factor is, you're not really taking advantage of early season tournaments if you're just playing your top group. It's time to find out about who plays and who showed up at practice,
Yeah.
who's a gamer, and all those kind of things. And you can't learn, everything about a player just in practice. You got to put them out there. And I think, the teams that do that, that's really going to help them in the long run.
A lot of matches, obviously, in volleyball coming up, from here on out until the end of, oh man, what, almost October? Like, volleyball season has to be, it's the longest season of any high school sport, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Keaton, I'm almost certain it goes into November because that's when I expect to see my wife again.
You're probably right. Yeah, I know for sure it definitely goes all the way through the end of October, and then the state championships roll around in what? Second week of November?
Second week of November.
Yeah.
Yeah, swim dive's the first weekend, November. So
right.
most people will be finished the first week of November.
Yeah. Yeah. But still, the longest season, bar none.
Oh, well, basketball might be there as well.
I guess if you start in December, I mean, it depends, kind of, right?
Isaiah, do you know when basketball ends?
Hmm?
Do you know when basketball usually ends?
I do. I have an inkling of when basketball usually ends. Yeah, it kind of depends. You're right, Keaton. It kind of depends. I mean, there are some 1A schools that will play. They won't start stuff until January when people come back from break.
Right. Yeah.
But for the 4As and 3As,
you're right.
It might be just, well, especially if you make the state championship, I think it's just as long as volleyball.
Yeah. No, you're playing January, February, you play to mid-March potentially. Yeah. But definitely, I don't think anybody plays any more games than volleyball, I guess you could say. I put games in quotations.
No, volleyball with those tournaments, tournaments and those mini match things. Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Right. Yeah. It's just,
and I think
it's a lot.
What's really happened lately too is those crowds just build and build and build, and great rivalries. South Diamond, the dark side and black. Diamond wears the white. So I mean, they really fill out those bleachers. And what's interesting too is they all play club ball. And they all know each other, and they're all friendly with each other. I don't go for that, but still, I think the fact that they, every kid gets the same chance in club ball, and I think you can't overlook teams because if they got a bunch of kids that play club, they play at a pretty high level.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of kids that do club activities now, it's crazy. But and then with that, they're also getting more experience and getting more exposure, and it's a good thing. So a lot of competitive club volleyball action out there, that's for sure. High school volleyball, if you want to check out the schedule, you can go to ASAA365.com. You can see all the matches that are coming up. There's a lot of them across the state. So that and the Kiski coming up. Colony, Palmer, West versus Bartlett, Lathrop, Kodiak. I mean, there's going to be so many tournament games and things like that coming up. So surf on over to ASAA365.com and you can check out the schedule of high school volleyball that is coming up. Speaking of volleyball, we'll jump up a level. We'll go to college. UAA volleyball season going to get started this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Seawolves already have the alumni match under their belt, and the alumni won that match.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, whoa, they won in 5 sets. The alumni did 3-2. So the current active Seawolves may have a little bit of work cut out for them to say the least, but the active Seawolves, they were led by Lee Ivanka, had 13 kills on 47 attacks. Tia Allen, a big returner, a senior leader on that team, had 8 kills on 27 attacks. Obviously, playing time here probably a little bit skewed, I would say, for your active players, just because you don't want to, really hopefully not hurt anybody, going into the regular season. But nevertheless, the alumni able to take down the current Seawolf team in 5 sets. I'm trying to see who led the way for the alumni. Ellen Floyd had 14 kills on 40 attacks. Caden Osborne had 3 kills on 7 attacks. Of course, terrific assist person as well. She led the way with 20 assists, did Caden Osborne for the alumni.
Did Morgan Holt play in that game? She coaches at UA now, and she's alumni. And
she did not play, no. So I think she probably is just coaching, I would assume. So.
She's on my list, for all-time favorite players. She led that big run at UA a few years ago.
Yeah. No, she did. Yeah.
Fun to
big
watch.
Name. So the Seawolves with the alumni game under their belt now. They will open up the season this Thursday afternoon against Hawaii Pacific, 1 o'clock at the Alaska Airlines Center. It's the Alaska Hawaii Challenge presented by Alaska Airlines starting this Thursday. The second game of the day is Chaminade versus UAF. And then UAA actually will end up playing 2 games on Thursday. The nightcap at 7 o'clock, they will take on Hawaii Hilo. Then the Seawolves on Friday will take on Chaminade at 1 o'clock. At 10 a.m., it's Hawaii Pacific versus UAF. And then the 4 p.m. game on Friday is Hawaii Hilo versus UAF. And depending on how things shake out for Saturday, it'll be either Chaminade versus Hawaii Hilo or UAF. And then the Seawolves will either take on Chaminade or Hawaii Hilo, just depending on how things work out in the first couple of days of that tournament. Those games on Saturday, by the way, really early games, so get your coffee ready. 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. on Saturday for those 2 volleyball games coming up. So
yeah, I'll volunteer to cover that game completely, that tournament next year. I think it rotates back to Hawaii. And
yes.
Hawaiian Air, get those mileage up. I'm all for it.
Yeah, last year was in Fairbanks, and then 2 years ago, you're right, it was down in Hawaii, and now after it wraps up here at Anchorage, it'll go back to Hawaii, whether it's hosted by Hawaii Pacific or Hawaii Hilo, to be determined who hosts that one. But yeah, I'm in for it. Yeah, let's road trip or fly trip, guys. Let's do it.
Trip.
Yeah, road trip might be a little difficult to Hawaii.
That would be a little difficult.
Be more of a boat trip. But I don't know if I want to do that.
I don't know if I want to do that the whole way.
Keaton, you've been on enough cruises.
I got another one coming up, guys. So you're going to be on your own in December. So.
Whoa, another cruise. Where are you going on that one?
Oh, I don't know. Like, the Caribbean, Colombia. We're going to Panama, Jamaica.
Oh,
I don't think it's your call, Keaton.
You're right. It's not my call. I know whose call it actually is. So you're right. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's down the road. So if you're listening to the podcast, just mark your calendars. I'm out pretty much after Christmas. So just know that. All right.
Be a lot
you guys are worried.
A lot of Wolverines in those broadcasts, probably.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, the Anchorage Wolverines. Speaking of that, just touch on it briefly. I think their mini camp getting underway here. This week? I think with the mini camps coming up and things like that. So the Anchorage Wolverines gearing up for their hockey season, and their regular season will get going. A little over a month from now.
Yeah, September 19th, first game down in the States.
Less than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Crazy. Hockey season's already here.
Isaiah, you were able to bring Coach, newly arrived in town, over to Sports Businessman luncheon, and he got a great reception. And I think he said he would probably return. That doesn't always happen with
no, that doesn't always happen. No. That's true.
Who run the gauntlet. So he's thick-skinned. He says he'll be back.
Tom Huffer didn't scare him off or something,
Well, interestingly enough, Isaiah, why don't you tell him that story?
Well, Mike Akins, the head coach for the Wolverines, coached Tom Huffer's grandson down in, what was it, Dubuque?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't
think
remember.
of somewhere in Minnesota, I think.
Rochester,
Minnesota. Yeah.
Maybe it's Rochester. Yeah. So he knew about Huffer.
Oh my gosh. What kind of
It
small
was pretty
universe?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that Tyler Huffer, the player you're talking about, he actually, I think or at least he was last year. He was on the roster at Grand Canyon University. There's a lot of Alaska players. If you ever go look at the Grand Canyon hockey roster, there's quite a big contingent of Alaska players on that roster, which I was like, whoa. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Check it out.
yeah.
More you know. So, but it's funny about Huffer and Mike Akins.
That was pretty funny.
Good. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, old man there. So.
Yeah, Don Kasubi liked the fact that he'd been to Minnesota a lot. Kasubi, old Bemidji State guy.
Yeah. Oh man, so many memories. So many people have been. It's weird how the web of sports like crosses over. Like it's just like what?
It's
works.
It's a big small town.
It is. It certainly is. Well, I feel like we covered a lot of ground here on this Alaska Sports Talk podcast here on this episode of year number 3 of AST and covering football. We talked about volleyball, high school and college, and flag football, and a little bit of hockey. Oh, speaking of this, European hockey starts this weekend from you guys, just so you know.
There we go.
So we'll be busy with that.
Take care of your voice, Keaton.
I'll try. I got games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning. I think is the earliest game for me. I think it's I want to say 5:30 a.m. Alaska time. So while you guys are sleeping, I'll be.
How many languages do you deliver that game in?
Just one. Just one. Just the old English.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know enough Swedish or Danish or French. One of the first game I'm doing, the game's taking place in France. So, yeah. Bonjour.
Wow.
Bonjour from Alaska. There you go.
I give you props.
I like it.
Give you props because it's hard enough to do a game when you're in attendance, but I can't even imagine how tough hockey is, from somewhere in your house.
It's different. I remember when I first started doing it, it took me a little bit while to get into a rhythm and a flow and things like that, but you figure it out just like anything, and then make it work. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of sports happening. Anything else we want to add to the docket before we sign it off?
We're all good.
We're good.
See if we can get hooked up from Texas. I know you guys are in total respect of my ability to do that.
Yeah, we can make it happen. We'll figure it out.
And then Isaiah, we got something going with Tim Davis this week. Are we gonna save that?
Yeah, we'll put that out this week.
So a lot of fun talking to him.
Always. Timmy! Oh, Tim Davis. You got to ask him about a Cantrell story. I just need a Cantrell story from him. So that's all I need. But anyway, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Remember, subscribe, 5-star ratings, wherever you get the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. For Isaiah Vreeman, Brad Lowers, I'm Keaton Homer signing it off. We'll see you out there in the sports universe.